Hello and welcome to part 1 of the F-4E Phantom 2 build from Meng in 48 scale, and we are starting with the cockpit. Now, the detail that Meng give you in the cockpit is rather nice. It's very nicely detailed. Parts that you get, as in the instrument panels, the side panel consoles, they are nicely done. However, there is some omissions, i.e. the side fuselage or the inner cockpit side fuselage detail is missing. You do get one sort of like wall of the circuit breakers on the Wizzo side, but that's it, unfortunately. But what I will say is that the detail that you do have in the cockpit, it is nice and it fits really well. So all it is the question at the moment is just fitting in all the small bits and getting ready for priming. So that, yeah, everything that was glued and prepped, and it was time for me to prime. Now, I use a Tamiya grey of some description, whether it's a dark sea grey, a sky grey, it doesn't really matter. All I want is a nice even coat of an acrylic paint, so that the main lacquer paint that I do use actually adheres to the actual kit and doesn't peel off when I'm masking. And believe me, I am going to be doing quite a bit of masking in this one. So all it is a case of thin coats all over, and yeah, it's just to make that base for the main paint to adhere to. Two basic colours that I'm going to be using is dark ghost grey and a black of some description. Now the grey is going to be for the main cockpit area, but bearing in mind once you got the instrument panels in, the side consoles, the bang seats and everything else, there isn't an awful lot of the grey that you are going to see. However, what I do is to spray it to a point where I'm leaving shadows, so when you do actually look into it, there is some form of definition to the paint, so it's not just a slab of grey that you're looking at. I'm trying to add character to the actual parts themselves. So once that was done, it was a simple case of just going over until I was happy with the shading that I had, and then I could crack straight on with the instrument panels. Now what we're doing now is a bit of dry brushing. Now this is a very easy way of getting the detail out of the kit, and it is just a simple case of just having some old light greyish paint on an old paintbrush, and literally you just go over the raised details. And what this will give you is a slightly worn look, as in where the ground crew, the pilots have gone in and out, and the general wear and tear on everything, as in the actual consoles, the instrument panels and so forth. This is a really nice way and very basic way of getting full details out of the kit. So then, before I actually stuck the side panels in, I actually dry brushed the entire cockpit as well. So once that was done, I decided to glue everything else in. And point to note, you need to glue the side instrument panels first and then put the firewalls in. Don't do what I did because they don't fit. Anyway, moving on. Now I use a Vallejo paint for dry brushing and sort of like this kind of painting as well. And all I'm doing is using a sort of like a lighter black or a very, very dark grey and just going over separate panels just to break up the monotony of the black, and also hopefully it will show a bit more of a wear and tear and a bit more interest when you look in the cockpit. Now this next bit I'm using Sky Grey and I heavily dilute it with water. Now the idea of this is to dab it very delicately and hopefully it's going to run down all the sides of the instrument panel, sort of like demarcation, as you can see there. Now this is going to give you a bit more of a wear and tear, a bit of a dusty look, and you can go as far as you want with it. It is entirely up to you. Now looking at the actual cockpit of the real thing and the one in DCS, they are pretty worn. So yeah, they are heavily used aircraft, and quite rightly so because they are multi-role. So yeah, you can go as far or as little as you want, and once it's in and dry, and if you think you've overdone it, then well, the simple thing is you can just go back over with the black and start again if you so wish. So once you've done something like this, don't think that, oh god, I've really nosed it up, I'm gonna have to do some, no, just go over with the black again and start all over. It doesn't matter. So fear not, there's always a solution. Now, just to add a little bit more detail with the cockpit, i.e. the radar panels and the other monitors actually in the cockpit, all I did was I used a clear, green and orange from Tamiya. And it is a simple case of just getting a cocktail stick, sticking a load on the end, and then just maneuvering it around where the actual radar monitor would actually be. The great thing about this that it dries completely gloss, and when you do look into the actual cockpit itself, yeah, the gloss and the matte and the semi-gloss, yeah, there is a definite contrast there. Now I did say in the review that the decal options for the instrument panels weren't that good. Now I decided to use them, and if I'm honest, I'm glad I did, because they weren't that bad. The side panel consoles, yeah, they were bad, but these ones, yeah, they were pretty good. So all I did was apply them and just use some MIG ammo decal softener just so that they can bed into the details and look as realistic as possible. Now things are probably sort of like all done and dusted with the main tub, or the cockpit tub. It was time to assemble the actual bang seats. Now these are a multi-part affair. There isn't a lot of detail to them, as in you don't get any harnesses or anything else. However, you do get 2 pilots for it, so you can put them in if you so wish. Now you have 2 options if you want the seat harnesses. A, you can make them yourself, or B, you can buy some aftermarkets. Now I'm using a Quinta set of the J version of this particular aircraft. I can't see any difference between the J and the E version of the ejector seat harnesses, so I'm just going to use them. Now once they were done, all I had to do was paint them and paint the seat cushions. Now, coming to my favourite bit is weathering. Now for this I'm using a Aptolung, which is the sepia, and all I did was got a blob of the oil, popped it in a shot glass and just put some thinners to it. And as you can see, it is extremely thin. Now the principle of this is thus: get a load on the brush, pop it on and just let it go all over the place. The oil and the thinners are going to go into all the nooks and crannies, and it is going to give you a really nice sort of like feel of being used, dirtiness and all that kind of stuff. Because let's face it, we all like a dirty bird. Now, for all those that don't like that much of a dirty bird, what you can do is go in with a cleanish brush with some thinners and go around the areas where you want to take the actual oil wash off. Now, again, it's like the side consoles with the grey paint. You can do as much or as little as you want. At the end of the day, it's your definition of an F-4E cockpit. So it is entirely up to you. I take, let's say, half of it away, and I'm left with, yeah, quite a dirty cockpit. However, if it is in an environment, say Vietnam, where it is going to be quite dirty, then I would have left it really quite dirty. But again, it's entirely up to you. It's your definition, and above all, it is your kit. So then, just the last things to do is to put the instrument panels into the cockpit, and once they're in, we can actually fit the main cockpit tub into the main fuselage. Now, if you so wish, you can put the bang seats in right now. It's entirely up to you. However, I'm going to keep them out because it is going to aid me in actually masking this in future videos. So I'm not going to be putting masking tape over them and peeling paint and bits and pieces off. So it's just a bit of a fail-safe that all your hard work isn't going to be ripped out. So the last thing is to pop the cockpit into the fuselage. Now, as you can see, there's two little lugs that fit into two little holes, and it's a simple case of just glue, wait, and see. Yes, you do get a decent fit on this one. So big thumbs up to Meng on this one. So with the cockpit, yes, you do have some emissions, i.e. the sidewalls, which you do get a lot better in the Tamiya and the Zucamura kit. However, the detail that you do get with Meng is good, and it is a very good rendition of a Phantom. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.